And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. And if you think somebody might find this of interest, why don't you go ahead and hit the share button and share it with them below. So I'm a fan of Ben Carlson over at Ritholtz Wealth Management, and he wrote an article which really hit close to home because he wrote about fishing and investing. Those of you who know me know that I grew up on the water fishing unsuccessfully mostly for salmon in the water, the icy cold, the frigid waters of Puget Sound of Elliott Bay. And Ritholtz has an article titled "Fishing and Investing." I want to read a little bit from it, and then I'll analyze it. He says, one of the cool things about being a parent is sharing the same interests as your kids. My kids like shooting baskets in the driveway just like I did when I was young. I've indoctrinated them into Michigan football and basketball fandom. They love playing cards, which encompasses some of my fondest memories growing up. He goes on about other hobbies they have, and then he says, my son plays football and basketball just like I did, but his true love is fishing. I love the outdoors, but wouldn't consider myself an outdoorsman. There's a difference. My uncles and cousins on my dad's side of the family hunt and fish, but for some reason, that was never my thing. Now that we're on a lake all summer, George, his son, wants to go fishing every morning off the docks. He's obsessed. He's also been pushing hard for a charter fishing tour in Lake Michigan. Last weekend, we finally did it. And here's where it gets interesting. The way it works is that once they get to the usual spots, the captain sets the boat in an automatic course. The boat essentially idles on path as tennis rods are in the water awaiting bites. George, his son, is 8. The charter captain said that that's the best age to be a good fisherman on this type of expedition. Why? They told us older people who think they know what they're doing tend to whip the pole around from side to side or wrench it back. When they do this, the fish inevitably comes off the hook. But the younger fisherman, like his son, simply reels it in which is all you need to do. You see, since the boat is moving when the fish bite, the hook is already set. You don't need to pull the pole all over the place to set the hook. Upon hearing that slow and steady approach beats the more showy one, my investing brain immediately went to the markets. This is the difference between simple, successful investing, those who try too hard and end up with unsatisfactory results. At a speech to some business school students in the 1990s, Charlie Munger told the following story. I think the reason why we get into such idiocy in investment management is best illustrated by a story that I tell about the guy who sold fishing tackle. I asked him, my God, they're purple and green. Do fish really take these lures? And he said, Mister, I don't sell to fish. The captain says he tells people once or twice to stop yanking the pole so much, but most don't listen and end up losing most of the fish. They go home unhappy. He said the hard part is the salmon we're fishing are at 80 to 100 feet or more of depth because that's where the cold water is, so you have to reel in the fish for a very, very long time. Most people get bored and would rather pull, tug, and yank the pole around than methodically reel it in. George reeled in 5 giant fish. He didn't lose one. Okay, so as somebody who didn't always have the ability, the success, I should say, of reeling in 5 fish, that could be like 6 months worth of our successful fishing. No, I'm kidding. We actually did pretty well. It really is like this. Now, what really hits home is where he talks about the fact that people try too hard investing. I can tell you that. I learned that lesson also. I've had clients, people that I knew, people we were friendly with, where I really, really tried hard for them. Instead of just tried and true, index funds, ETFs, chocolate vanilla asset allocation, I tried too hard. And what ended up happening was they didn't do as well and they weren't so happy. And then it becomes really, really uncomfortable. And you think about it even for yourself, right? I know a lot of people in this business who think, well, I preach one thing. I preach you should invest, in index funds and ETFs, but I myself, I buy individual stocks. I'm going to beat the system. Even though I tell everybody that statistically it's not going to happen, I do. I've got the secret sauce. I'm going to do better, right? It just doesn't work, okay, for most people out there. It is methodical. It's slow. It takes time. But ultimately, just like catching the 15 or 20-pound king salmon, it's worth it. But you just have to be patient. You don't need to try too hard. Don't try and be too smart. Don't try and outsmart the market. It rarely works. Just like in fishing, right? You try, oh, I'm going to go to the hot spot, or I'm going to be fancy with the way I try and set the hook on the fish. It just doesn't work usually, and you end up with nothing. I know people who trade themes all the time. It sounds great. They call me, oh, I got a great idea. This is going to work. This time is going to work. And what ends up happening is, yeah, it was a great idea. And if they just put their money into a couple of broad-based ETFs, they would have probably twice as much money as they currently have in their account. So you think you can know the future. We plan on, but nobody knows the future. Nobody has prophecy. As we say, prophecy was given to fools. You can't predict the future. And if so, that you can't, why keep going down that same rabbit hole over and over and over again? I know I'm mixing my metaphors between hunting and fishing, but why do you keep doing it, right? Yeah, well, this time it's going to be better. This time I've got a better strategy, which I'm going to trade, and that's going to make me all the money. I'm going to way outperform the market. It doesn't work. And if it works for 1 year, it probably won't work for 2 or 3 years. It certainly is not going to work for 10 years. All the data says that. So why over and over and over again do we keep making those same mistakes? I don't know. I do know, because of greed, right? We think that we're smarter. We think that we're better. We think that's just for average people. Index funds, ETFs, those are just for the average folk. But for those of us who are smart, right? We read the news and we can analyze the news and we read corporate reports and all those kinds of things. We know better, right? Well, we don't, because it's actually the average people who end up doing better when it comes to investing. So take a lesson from fishing. It's slow and steady. That's the way. Don't try and be too smart, right? Follow the advice of the tour guide, of the charter guide when you're fishing, and you'll end up bringing up fish. Try and get too smart, not going to bring up any fish, right? Try and be too smart when investing, not going to make a lot of money, right? Stick things chocolate and vanilla, index funds, basic ETFs, not even thematic ETFs, not even sector ETFs. Don't try to be too smart. Broad-based. Keep everything broad-based. And statistically, over time, you probably will do quite well. You've been tuning in to Fishing Northwest. Just kidding. You've been tuning in to the Aaron Katzman Show. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. And if there are any fishermen out there who think that other fishermen might find this financial information interesting, why don't you go ahead and hit the share button below and share it with them. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.